What is up, everybody? It's your boy Marcus Washington, and you're on the mark where we talk everything Falcons football, fam. How are y'all doing? I'm sorry I am late, but I got caught up doing some other stuff. But nonetheless, we are here. So off season is officially begun, and things will get pretty interesting here in a few weeks. And we'll talk about a lot of this stuff on the back end, but you know, let's my fault, fam. My fault. I'm still smoking on that Shanahan pack. Still smoking on that Shanahan pack. It's some loud. It's some loud up in here. So the fallout of the Super Bowl has been crazy. And you have some people blaming everybody under the sun except for the guy that you see on the screen. I'm going to play a couple of clips. And every clip that I play is going to prove that this loss was on Kyle Shanahan. Every single one. Then on the back end, we're going to get into Arthur Blank's interview. It's a tad bit long, fam. It's 36 minutes long. So we're going to play that with minimal interruption. Now again, it'll be my first time listening to it, and sometimes, you know what, we might have to break that down into two videos because sometimes Arthur Blank gets long-winded. That tends to happen with a lot of older people. So we'll probably play half today and then half tomorrow. How about that? But there have been, you know, we don't know what Atlanta's going to do at the quarterback position. We've heard rumblings of Justin Fields. We've heard rumblings of, you know, Kirk Cousins probably being a possibility. So we don't know, but time will tell who they get in that coveted position. And as of last night, we realized what a quarterback can actually do for your team. A good quarterback, a solid quarterback, one that you can depend on. Now, again, Patrick Mahomes he's on a different level. It's Patrick Mahomes, and then everybody else is jockeying for that second spot. As far as I'm concerned, right now, Patrick Mahomes is on the Mount Rushmore of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. Now, Tom Brady, right now, he still has the rights to GOAT. He can still walk around and he can still walk around and do that because he's the GOAT. Patrick can't do that yet. But we slowly hearing Patrick Mahomes. We're slowly hearing that. But right now, Tom Brady is the one that can walk around here with the GOAT sound effect on. So when Tom Brady walks into a building, that's legitimate. Nobody else can take that from him. But Patrick Mahomes is on Mount Rushmore right now, 28 years of age. I'm welcome to debate anybody on that. Anybody. You can't give me 4 other quarterbacks or 3 other quarterbacks that has done what he's done already. And the boys, technically, football years, this boy's still a puppy. Football years, barring a career-ending injury, Patrick Mahomes has got 12 years. 12 till he hits 40. So we can quite possibly be in the middle of watching the greatest of all time. And to me, that would be wild, because that would mean I've lived in a generation where we've seen two GOATs. Do what they're doing at the highest level. You can't give me three other quarterbacks that's done what Patrick Mahomes has done. And it's silly to think earlier this year, some folks was trying to compare Patrick Mahomes, or trying to compare Desmond Ridder to Patrick Mahomes. One on the bench, one just went back to back. However, I digress. So let's go ahead and get to clip number 1. Let me put this up. So, video number 1. And the Niners fans, if you come on here, hey, listen, none of these shots are for y'all. I feel your pain. I feel it. I feel it. Now, other fan bases are laughing at y'all because y'all talked heavy shit. Y'all talked heavy whipped cream shit. And folded like an affidavit. However, I digress. My beef, and I'm still smoking on that Shanahan pack. My beef is with this guy right here. Now, I've heard some Niners fans talk about they believe they can get over the top with this boy. Over the top! How many times y'all got to make it to the Super Bowl and fold? It's ironic that both times that y'all made it to the Super Bowl under this man's watch, you had a 10-point lead and you blew it. We can't even blame the quarterback because it happened with Jimmy G, happened with Brock Purdy. The man he's anemic to run in the football in the second half. He's allergic to it. So, what we're going to do, turn off my music. I'm going to prove some points here. Let's start.
And talk to those guys, and we just thought to be better. We wanted the ball third. If both teams matched and scored, we wanted to be the ones who had the chance to go win, and we got that field goal, so we knew we had to hold them to at least to a field goal, and if we did, then we thought it was in our hands after that.
I didn't even know about the new playoff overtime rule, so it was a surprise to me. I didn't even really know what was going on in terms of that. They put on the scoreboard, and everyone was like, "Oh, even if you score, they get a chance still." So,
did the coaching staff ever approach that at all this week? Letting you guys know that if there is a time when it goes to OT, like these rules are different.
I wasn't aware of it.
You know what? I didn't even realize that the playoff rules were different in overtime. So I assumed you just want the ball because you score a touchdown and win, but I guess that's not the case. So I don't totally know the strategy there. No, we haven't talked about it. No.
So let me pause it right there. I put into evidence video 1. You have 2 players that came out right after they lost the Super Bowl and said they did not even know what the OT rules are. That's on the coach. That's on the bam. It wasn't like this was just rolled out this season. This has been in play for a couple of seasons. So they didn't even know what the rules were, even though the fucking ref told them what the rules were at the coin toss. That's on the coach. Kansas City knew what the rules were. That's like if let's say this. Let's say at your job they changed the rules, right? Let's say if you at most jobs, if you're 15 minutes late, that's considered late. But if you're in that 15-minute threshold, you're on time. Let's say they changed the rules to where now it's 10 minutes. Who you think is responsible for letting you know that? So if your boss doesn't let you know that, how are you accountable? That's why I can't really blame the players. They should have knew this before the ump told them this. That's on Kyle Shanahan. So I see people blaming everybody else but him. Now, there are some 49ers fans, and I'll get to it, that have absolutely dug into Kyle Shanahan's ass. They've realized that they're not going to win with this guy. They know it. In their heart of hearts, there's still some Niners fans that are in denial. Falcons fans, we've been here, done that. But let's continue.
Okay. I'm coming to you on this one, Shannon. This was a little surprising for me to hear the Niners players admitting they didn't even know the OT rules. Can you break that down for me?
No, and I would have never admitted that publicly.
Right.
Just they changed the rules a couple of years ago because everybody felt that whoever got the ball between the Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, that's who was going to win the game. And so the NFL, because it used to be sudden death, any score in overtime, the first two score, the game was over. But they said, you know what?
Let me do this. I'm gonna skip past this because they're going to talk about the overtime rules. Stephen A. Smith tried to explain the rules and he got it incorrect. So, I'm going to get to the segment where they're talking about Brock Purdy. Let me see if they got it on here. Actually no. So I got to go back. Hold on, give me a second to pull that up real quick. Let me put my music back on while I look this up. So hold on. Cuz Dan I forget what is I can't or lot whatever the fuck. Dan and Shannon kind of got into it about Brock Purdy, right? And hold on. Okay, let me go here. They kind of got into it about Brock Purdy's performance. And was it bad or was it good, right? Again, this is avoiding Kyle Shanahan. I don't care how Brock Purdy played. All this is on Kyle Shanahan, right? So let's get to it.
100%. I mean, that's the mindset every year. I think we have the team to do it. That's what's tough about all this, man. Is it's a long season and there's a lot of stuff that you go through, and but at the end of the day, we all have the mindset of being able to do it. So, yes.
Okay. So that was Purdy responding to the question if they can win it all again next year. Shannon Sharp, was Brock Purdy's performance impressive to you?
Not to
Bless
me.
you, Stephen A.
Thank you.
Bless you. No, had he, I look at last year's performance by Jalen Hurts. That's impressive. I mean, what was he? 38 attempts. I think he was 22, 23 of 38 for 255 on a touchdown. Third down, they were 3rd and 12. Nothing spectacular. Not to me. Not to me.
Now, let me pause this. The numbers that he put up, I think it was 255, like Shannon said, 255 and 1 touchdown. That's the equivalent of a Desmond Ridder game. We were calling Desmond Ridder trash with them numbers. We were calling him trash. 255, 1 touchdown. And they had an overtime. So you're talking about maybe 200 yards in regulation with Ayuk, with Deebo Samuels, with Kittle. I said this last night. Kittle having 4 yards is a crime. That is an absolute crime. That's on your play caller. Now, some of this falls on the quarterback, but 2 targets? Kittle had 2 targets. He was a professional blocker yesterday. So that's not a great performance. Those are Desmond Ridder numbers.
I think there's still questions. Do I think they can win it all? Absolutely. This team is loaded. They were favored. Everybody expected them to win this year. This is why Patrick Mahomes is most pleased, because given the way they played throughout the totality of the regular season, and look at the overwhelming underdog that they were. Now, they weren't a 15-point underdog, but everybody, the 49ers. No, yes, they can win it all. But I wasn't impressed by. So what was impressive? So here's the thing. What I'm seeing, Stephen A., you correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen A., I want you to put on your executive hat.
Sure.
Your team executive. I think what the thing is, what we're doing is that we keep saying he's Mr. Irrelevant. He's Mr. Irrelevant. So he's exceeding expectations. But at what point in time does he okay, well, Shannon Sharp's pretty good. I understand that he was a 7th round draft pick and he was 192. You can't keep using that. You can't keep using that barometer. He's a quarterback in the NFL, and where he was drafted should be unimportant at this point in time.
Now, let me stop this. This sounds familiar. A quarterback with a loaded team, loaded weapons, and he puts up those type of numbers. I would argue Brock Purdy's performance last night was worse, because at the wide receiver level, San Francisco has better wide receivers than we do. They got Ayuk and they got Deebo Samuel. We don't have the equivalent to that. Drake London is a good receiver, but he's not at that level yet. He's a dog. He's got Deebo in him. He's got dog in him, but the productivity hasn't been on the level of an Ayuk or a Deebo. So I would argue that his performance was worse than Desmond Ridder's in the Super Bowl, because they were favored to win. On paper, they had the better team than the Kansas City Chiefs. On paper. But so did Baltimore. So did Buffalo. And Kansas City managed to beat both those teams, including the 49ers. Let's continue. And I will say this. Brock Purdy's supposed to have how can I put this? Brock Purdy is supposed to be what he was last night. He was dead. He was drafted dead last. To put this in perspective, Desmond Ridder was drafted way before Brock Purdy was. Now, if we're looking at these numbers, from Desmond Ridder this year, we're chewing them out. This is trash. But we're going to see where this conversation ends up at.
So let's take it away. Because what I've heard people say, man, if he was a first rounder, y'all give him love. So if you want to give him love if he's a first rounder, we got to give him criticism also. Because you don't get to have it both ways. When he plays bad, well, he was Mr. Irrelevant. No, we're not going to do that here today. No, I was not impressed by that performance. No.
Well, listen, I was impressed, but I will say this to you. That doesn't mean you're wrong about everything else you said. Brock Purdy has elevated himself to the point where you no longer get to lean on being Mr. Irrelevant.
Thank you.
He has elevated himself to a point where you are knocking on the door. There's nothing wrong with looking at the San Francisco 49ers going in the next season and beyond and saying, what you going to do? Because that's what our expectation is of you. You played good enough. We saw how good you can play. We see how good this defense can be. We see the offensive personnel that you have in play. We don't think Christian McCaffrey's going anywhere. We don't think Deebo Samuel is going anywhere. We don't think George Kittle or Ayuk is going anywhere. We damn sure know Shanahan isn't going anywhere. What's the problem? We get to look at you now because of the capability that you've shown us that you've had, combined with people like Dio and others singing your praises. And you no longer get to be somebody that's Mr. Irrelevant, devoid of expectations. And we should sit up there and sprinkle beautiful things upon every little thing that you do. Now you have arrived. And because you have arrived right now, we can look at golf and we can say, well, golf has looked better, but you know what? You beat them. We can sit up there and look in Seattle with the Geno Smiths of the world. Well, you know what? They ain't on your level. We can look at Matthew Stafford. Okay, they lost to Jared Goff in Detroit. So obviously, even though he could still ball, people looking at you, they're looking at Dak Prescott, they're looking at Jalen Hurts, they're looking at Goff, they're looking at Stafford, and they're saying, excuse me, even with a Jordan Love and others, Brock Purdy is on that level, if not better. No excuses anymore.
Go ahead,
I thought
Dio.
Brock Purdy was the best player on the field for the 49ers last night.
Now, your boy is about to tweak. Dan is about to tweak. What he just said was not only inaccurate, it's utter bullshit. The best player on the Niners offensively was Christian McCaffrey, which they stopped using in the third quarter. They stopped using him. But this is what Dan is about to say is the equivalent of what Desmond Ridder fans have been doing all year. All year. His logic is going to be very, very flawed.
If you want to get into an argument that it's between him and Christian McCaffrey, sure. But I thought he was the best player on the field. I thought the way he threw the football versus tight man coverage, I don't understand how we can sit here the day after a Super Bowl when it's clear the reason why San Francisco lost is, number one, missed opportunities. That's the blocked extra point. That's the punt that hits the block, the return guy in the foot. That's Chris Jones making a couple big plays. Like that's why they lost. And then the second reason why they lost is the fact that they took the ball first in overtime and gave Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid multiple 4 downs essentially to go win the football game. And they ran into Patrick. They lost on the last play of the game. And we're not impressed with the quarterback. We're not.
Well, let me say this. The reason why they lost is because of the first half. They dominated the first half and they couldn't put points on the board. That's why. Kansas City was absolutely inept offensively in that first half. Inept. They were getting pushed around. But when you look up at halftime, Kansas City has an opportunity to take the damn lead when they get the ball first in the third quarter. So now you have to ask yourself, with San Francisco being that damn dominant, how come they weren't able to put up points? Then you got to start looking at their offensive play caller, Kyle Shanahan. All the other stuff is obligatory. Okay, they had a muff punt. Pacheco fumbled the ball when there was an automatic minimum 3 points for Kansas City. Fumbled it. Then Patrick Mahomes threw a damn pick. So everything that he's saying, you can look at the Kansas City side of the ball. You like Kansas City gave you 2 turnovers and you had 0 points to show for it. If you would have capitalized on either one, that missed field goal wouldn't have mattered. Also, you can make an argument that Kansas City actually blew one of their timeouts in the very beginning of the second half. So all these excuses he's about to make for Brock Purdy, now get it, me and him on the same page. I'm putting a lot of this on Kyle Shanahan, but to sit here and act like Brock Purdy played great, bruh, stop. Bruh, stop. Them Desmond Ridder numbers that boy gave you. But even with that, as much as I chewed Desmond Ridder out this year, what did I say? All those losses were on Arthur Smith. All of them. That's what happens when you're an offensive coordinator and a head coach and you can't put up points. You have leads and you blow them. A 10-point lead, you blew it. That's on the coach. But I'm not going to sit here and act like Brock Purdy played the game of his life.
Impressed with the quarterback that goes against, which was the second best defense in football this year. And avoided probably 4 or 5 sacks that most other quarterbacks would have been sacked in. We're not impressed by that. We're not impressed by a guy who's playing in his first Super Bowl. I don't care where he's drafted, the first pick or the last pick, and doesn't give the ball away, doesn't turn the football over, versus the second best defense in the NFL. We're not impressed by a guy that had to play against the best man coverage defense in the NFL and just consistently put the ball where it needed to be.
Can I ask you a question, Dale?
Yes, sir.
When people say, well, the 49ers are going to be favored because they opened up the betting favorite, what's the question? What are the questions people are going to have about the 49ers?
In regards to the game, are you asking me?
Yeah, the winning, because they open up as the betting favorite. So
Yes,
I
sir.
want to know what are going to be the questions. Now, Brandon Ayuk is a different animal. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's a free agent, and he's probably going to command big money. So there's a greater chance he's going to be gone than returning. But we'll wait and see. But what do you believe are going to be the questions?
Now let me say this: Brandon Ayuk become available, Atlanta. I need to take a look at that. I'm just saying, y'all need to take that. This guy is a good route runner, can take a top off of defense if he becomes available. Because again, what's about to happen with the Niners in a tight window. Now next year is probably going to be their last year to make some noise, because after that you're going to have to pay Brock Purdy. Right now you can't pay. He's not even eligible to get paid or get an extension. Not even eligible. So next year he's going to be playing still under the rookie contract because he has to give a minimum of 3 years. Seeing how the round in which he got picked, he has to give 3 years before they can even talk extension. So he's going to get extended. It's going to be well over 150, 160 million dollars. You're already paying Christian McCaffrey. Debo got paid. Then you got to look at defensive pieces. Bosa got to eat. They got about 1 year left. So that's why them losing this year was heartbreaking, because a lot of these Niners fans know this thing about to get busted inside of 2 years. Now, the thing is, do you really want to pay Brock Purdy all that money? And this is where the conversation comes at 255 yards, 1 tutty in the Super Bowl. That's enough to give this man 150, 160 million dollars when you look at all the pieces that he's playing with. So that's Shannon's argument. Is it Brock Purdy, or is it the fact that he's got talent at every single position and he's got a great offensive coordinator? Kyle Shanahan is not a great coach. He's a great coordinator. So is it really him that's making the needle move? I can argue no, because Jimmy Garoppolo was doing the same thing that Brock Purdy was. Jimmy G went to the Super Bowl, same way. So is it really the quarterback, or is it the pieces around him? So San Francisco going to have a tough decision to make next year. But Dan talking about this guy was the best player on the – stop. But let's go.
Surrounding the 49ers.
What's going on, Ryan?
They got to be better on their offensive line. That was the storyline of the game. Kansas City way more physical than their offensive line last night, and they beat them up at the point. I don't have questions about Brock Purdy. I honestly don't. I
hate this. I hate to keep stopping this. He's blaming the offensive line now. Fam, did y'all watch that first half? San Francisco dominated at every level. Both lines, they dominated. But since they lost, all of a sudden, it's the offensive line's fault. How about this? Kyle Shanahan, run the ball. Brock Purdy shouldn't be throwing 40 times. Run the damn ball. You are averaging 5.3 yards a carry. He makes the same mistakes in big games. He did it this year. He did it back when they went to the Super Bowl the last time. He did it with us. All we had to do was run the ball. What did Kyle Shanahan decide to do when the rubber met the road? He wanted to pass. He's done that every single time. Every single solitary time. But we blaming the offensive line. Okay.
There is no way that I walk away from that game questioning, is that guy good enough?
Okay, well, let me ask you a question, Dio. Shannon, you'll appreciate this question I'm about to throw in Dio's direction because Dio knows this kind of stuff, and I'm really, really fascinated at the thought of what his answer will be. So Brock Purdy obviously is not just a game manager per se or what have you, and he's a very talented quarterback, right, Dio? Well, you know something? In a salary cap strap league that is the National Football League, let's just say the numbers at around 4%, 3.35% or whatever that he counts against their payroll, and you're not able to keep the personnel, all of the personnel that you presently have around him, okay? Will he be able to elevate the play of those around him, particularly if it's not to the caliber that we just saw him have available to him? We saw when Trent Williams was out and Deebo Samuels was out how he looked. We saw how he looked a little bit when Christian McCaffrey was out.
They lost 4
I'm
games.
asking you, Dio, if you got to pay this brother to the point where you can't afford to keep other pieces and the level of the caliber of pieces that are presently around him dissipate in quality to some degree, how much confidence are you going to have in Brock Purdy then?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet, Stephen A. I don't know if I'm there to be like, witness some of that stuff that we see from, again, 2 or 3 guys that are in the NFL. I don't think that it's a foregone, thought that
So
he
you
can't
got
do it.
questions. To make a long story short, and you made a short story long, you have questions.
Shannon, we're living in a hypothetical world of if these guys aren't there, one,
It ain't that
we don't know
hypothetical.
they
This is the
won't be
NFL.
there.
This is what Ritter fans sound like. This is what Ritter fans sound like. They talk out of both sides of their mouth. So Dan says he doesn't have questions, yet if you take away the talent from him, he doesn't know. Well, they've taken talent away from Patrick Mahomes. They took away his cheat code in Tyreek Hill. And he's been back to back since. Since Tyreek Hill has left, they've won the Super Bowl twice. Look at the wide receivers they had this year. They sat Kadarius Toney down. They told him, don't even show up. We will mail you your ring. They won with Scantling, Hardman, Kelsey, Pacheco, and the other tight end. I forget. He looks he's built just like Kelsey on the football field. It don't matter who he has, he wins. That's a sure bet. When you're talking about looking at Brock Purdy, if you strip all the weapons from him, are you willing to give him that money? The answer is no, because guys went out. Ryan says Watson. There it is. Watson is the other tight end. Appreciate that, Ryan. So if you take these guys, we saw what happened this year when McCaffrey went out. When Deebo went out, they went on a losing streak. Got beat by the Vikings. Prime time. Kirk Cousins didn't have Justin Jefferson. Cooked them boys. Cooked them. So again, this is what Ritter fans sound like. When you throw a question like this, they don't know. So I'm not saying that, but he's the best player on the field. But I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. If they say, shut up, then he's not the best player on the field. If he's the best player on the field, it don't matter who they put on that offense. If that same question applied to Patrick Mahomes, if you take away his receivers, do you still got faith in him? Yes. Let's continue.
This is the National Football League. It's not that hypothetical.
We don't be there. 2, we have no idea who those guys would replace with. Did Brandon Ayuk?
You're something
Did he
else,
elevate
bro.
Brandon Ayuk this year?
You're something else.
Did he elevate Brandon
ways.
Ayuk this year?
So let me get this straight.
Did he elevate Brandon Ayuk this year?
I'm going to answer your question.
Yes, sir.
They give him $45 million. It's going a quarterback of his caliber.
Definitely.
Command.
With that getting his money, and then you damn right, Brock Purdy deserve over $40 million.
Daniel Jones got $40 million.
There we go.
That seems to be the
Don't put him and
floor.
Daniel Jones in the same conversation.
But You're making my point. So if Daniel Jones got $40 million and he shouldn't be in the same category, how much is he going to get? So now that's why you try to win when you got the quarterback on the rookie contract. Because once he goes to start getting 45, 50 million, now the talent that's around him. So he did elevate, but I want to know, so what's the name of that play? Hold on, let me finish this. What's the play called in the huddle? I throw it, I hit the DB in the head, it caroms off his head, and now you catch it. What's the name of that play on one?
Oval-shaped football.
Exactly.
Here's where I am with you guys with this, man.
Right.
Here's where I am with you guys. One, you're asking me a hypothetical question that I have no
You do it all the time.
No, I don't.
Yes,
you guys
you
are asking me,
do.
Kenny. I don't know.
Hypothetical.
And I may never
One, let me stop. One, it's not a hypothetical. It happens all the time. A quarterback gets paid a large sum of money, and they can't keep pieces. That's what happened in Kansas City with Tyreek Hill. Miami was willing to give him a bigger bag. This happens all the time in the NFL. You look at in Dallas. They paid Dak Prescott. They had to get off Amari Cooper. This happened. This isn't This isn't an unrealistic hypothetical. This is a very valid question. If you take Christian McCaffrey away from Brock Purdy, you take Brandon Ayuk, and Ayuk was cooking before Brock Purdy got there. I'm sorry to say that. Ayuk has been cooking. Debo has been cooking before that boy got there. So do you really want to give this kid, and I think what they give Daniels out there in New York? Was it 180 or 120? And that boy wasn't worth that money. And you saw what happened with him. He goes out and DeVito comes in and plays better than he does. You don't want to pay guys that don't move the needle on their own. If Christian McCaffrey is the best player on your team offensively, what does that say about your quarterback? But this is what Desmond Ridder fans sound like. Desmond Ridder wasn't the best player on our offense this year. Not by a long shot. He wasn't even the second or third. So would you pay Desmond Ridder $180 million? Hell no. So that's why Dan sounds so damn foolish right now when he's talking about the guy is great and he's a top 7 quarterback right now. And in theory, he would only be a top 7 quarterback because of all the damn weapons he has. That's why Desmond Ridder got that work this year, because he had the weapons and didn't do nothing against it. But we put that on Arthur Smith also. Millie says it's about to happen in Cincy now. Yeah, but Joe Burrow is a way better quarterback than Brock Purdy. Way better. And he says, okay, Jones got 160 and ain't worth 160. So let's continue.
have to answer that question.
Olofsky, remember, who's the EP of the show? You know we got receipts. I got video of you doing hypotheticals all the time.
Yes,
all the time.
But you're asking me to foreshadow if guys aren't there. I have no idea. All I know is this. I don't know who would replace those guys. Here's the reality. Brandon Ayuk was elevated this year. Yes or no? Answer is absolutely yes. George Kittle had his best year. Yes or no? Yes. The quarterback is the only difference.
He did not have his best year. He had a year in which he had 1,300 yards and double digits, and he was an all-pro with Jimmy G.
So exactly.
His best year in 3 years or something like that.
He's been cooking.
Here's my question, Shannon and Stephen A. Did he play better than Lamar Jackson against that defense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, did he play better against Tua Tagovailoa?
Yes.
Did he play better than Josh Allen?
No.
No. That's not what you said. When Josh Allen played the Kansas City Chiefs, you went in on me and Stephen A.
Yes, you did.
You went in on Stephen A.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Josh Allen played awesome.
They're right. You did say Josh
See?
Allen played awesome. You were defending him.
Better?
Yes.
Josh Allen or Brock Purdy?
Better.
Listen, This is one reason why you can't be a fan of one position and one player. You can't, because you start to double talk. And Dan is so fixated and so defensive of the quarterback position because he played it. Where have we heard that also? I play quarterback. Where have we heard that? Guys that sound like that they can't be wrong until they're proven wrong. And then they act like they never said these things. Where have we heard this before, family? I didn't say it. Yeah, you did. They got footage of it.
Yeah. Wow,
Who
you're both
played
out of your
better?
chair. Both
I
squatting.
think
now.
That's my thing. That's my point. One quarterback played good against this defense in the last like 3 months.
You didn't ask the question with that intent. You asked the question with the intent that we were going to say Purdy instead of Josh Allen. Well, you were the one that said Josh Allen. You said
He played awesome. Josh is the only quarterback that played good against his defense in like 3 months.
But you said who played, but that's not what you said. You framed it with who played better, Brock Purdy or Josh Allen, trying to make it seem like Brock Purdy played better than Josh Allen.
No,
when you came on here,
the fact it's a conversation.
What's going
speaks to how
on,
good
Larry?
The young man played yesterday.
we having
That's
a
the
conversation.
point.
We're having a conversation.
What's going
now.
on, y'all?
Doesn't mean it's a good one. So anything just because you having a conversation, you tried to be slick, but you can't be slick
Where
to a
are
can
you
of
putting
oil,
Brock
which
Purdy
is
when
me.
it comes to NFC quarterbacks next year? Let's live in a world where we know where most guys are going to be. Where would you put him right now based on what he did this year?
Are you putting him ahead of Dak Prescott?
Yes.
I'm just wondering.
Yes.
Shannon?
Xin chào tất cả các bạn quay
So
trở
now I
lại
don't
kênh
know what the
YouTube
hell
của
this
mình.
stuff be.
Video
But Dan sounds like a Desmond Ritter guy, where they can't do any wrong. Let me put on my music. Now, I'll say this. I played that in its entirety to show y'all one thing. Not once did they mention Kyle Shanahan. A lot of the media is putting this on everybody but Kyle Shanahan. And this goes to the Falcons Shanahan curse. Shanahan has not been able to go over the top since he left here. And there are some people that have conspiracy theories that Shanahan threw that game against the Patriots so he can get Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco. Lost the playbook? Where they do that at, bruh? Then the playbook just magically reappears? Until you do right by the Falcons, we will be smoking on that Shanahan pack. And again, this is no knock on the Niners fan base. Not at all. I don't have a beef with y'all. Y'all coach though? We got history. And it ain't good history. Man walked out the door and didn't think twice about how he fucked us here. Now y'all getting fucked. So until he does right by the Atlanta Falcons, he ain't never gonna win a chip. Never. That's why a lot of fans were happy that we weren't happy that the Niners lost. We was happy that Shanahan lost. Y'all ain't never, ever, ever, ever gonna win a chip with the guy. That man closes like butt cheeks in a prison. He folds, fam. And he's done it the same way 3 times. The same way. Who keeps making the same mistake multiple times? Shanahan has the same issue that Arthur Smith had. They want to be the smartest guys in the room, and they want to win their way. And it cost the team. Y'all remember what happened to Seattle in the Super Bowl? Pete Carroll wanted to make Russell Wilson the hero, and it cost him. Marshawn Lynch talks about at the end of that play, he went to the sideline and laughed in Pete Carroll's face. Some of these guys don't really care about the team. They care about their egos and how people perceive them. This game wasn't lost on a muff punt or a botch catch or a missed field goal attempt. It wasn't lost on that. Because San Francisco had, up until the end, San Francisco had every opportunity to win that game. And they didn't. But I'm calling it right now. Y'all ain't never gonna win. Until that man does right by the Atlanta Falcons, no matter where he goes. No matter where he goes. He'll get there. And he'll lose. This is not me saying that he's a bad offensive coordinator. No, he's a good offensive coordinator. Good to great. I'm not knocking that at all. But I will tell you this. Whenever I see Kyle Shanahan in games like this is what I do at the TV. Right here. This is what I do at the TV. That's what I do. Y'all see that right there? I'm putting that up. I did that last night. Fam. I put that hex on the boy. Till you do right by us, you ain't winning shit. And you know what's going to end up happening? It might be years from now. But you're going to see the Falcons hoist the Lombardi trophy, and in the background, you're going to see Kyle Shanahan on a horse walking right past us. We going to be all right. But I feel that Kyle Shanahan might have 1 or 2 more years left before they go ahead and get him up out of the paint. Before they go ahead and because again, fam, they did this to Andy Reid. Philly got Andy Reid up out of there. Andy Reid was taking these guys to the NFC Championship game time after time after time. Took them to a Super Bowl with McNabb and them. Couldn't get them over the top. So they said, Andy, we got to move in a different direction. Now, Andy rewrote his history by going to Kansas City and building a dynasty. But every time I see Kyle Shanahan, I'm putting 2 fingers in the air at him. I ain't even talking to him at this point. Till you do right by us, that Falcons curse is intact, and I will be smoking on that Shanahan pack every time you get to the playoffs and you fold. Now, I know a lot of Niners fans might be in their feelings about that. This ain't about you. This ain't about you, fam. This about the man driving y'all, but let's be real. Some of y'all want him gone. Some of y'all want him out the paint now. And I agree with y'all 100%. Y'all should fire Kyle Shanahan right now, but you're not. Y'all got one more year to get this right. And it ain't no guarantee you're going to make it back to the Super Bowl. Ryan, you're absolutely right. It'd be no beef if he won that chip. We had that game. We had that game in the bag, fam. And Dan Quinn got to get under the blade for this too. He got to get under the blade. But it was this idiot calling these plays. Why is it that when you have a lead, bruh, you want to throw the damn ball? Why? Brock Purdy had 40 attempts. Why? I'm telling you, I can't understand how you have a machine in Christian McCaffrey, who was the offensive player of the year, and you look Christian McCaffrey dead in the face and say, "Nah, I'm gonna go with Purdy. I'm gonna go with Purdy." Is you tweaking? Man, I'm sorry. If I was George Kittle, I would be on top of Shanahan in the locker room like Kelsey was on Andy Reid on the sideline. You got to come see me about this. So even though Patrick Mahomes did what Patrick Mahomes does, all that would have been null and void if he would have just ran the damn ball. Joe says, "What's up, Mark? Still standing on logo." You damn right. I'm still standing on logo business. This is logo business. What I'm talking right now. Till he does right by us, that man ain't ever gonna win a chip. And I'm just being honest. Kyle Shanahan was the reason they lost. Just like he was the reason they lost the previous time, and he was a major reason why why we lost. His ego in his play calling will not get out of the way of winning the big game. And you had the talent to do it. You had it. Here's why it's not guaranteed that they'll make it back. If you lose Ayuk, which is a huge piece to your offense, if you lose him, who are you replacing him with? And secondly, can you trust that Deebo Samuels is going to be healthy? Can you trust Christian McCaffrey going to be healthy? You got a year to get this right. On top of all that, you got to get out of the NFC. And let's not act like these teams in the NFC ain't retooling. Dallas feels like they a taste away. They always feel like they a taste away. Green Bay ain't going nowhere. Green Bay should have beat you. But they ain't going nowhere. Detroit, they going to have blood on their lips. The Rams, in a semi-rebuild, look decent this year. So it ain't like you just gonna little boy all these teams and get right back to the Super Bowl. And you got 1 year to do it. Because after that year, you're going to either have to pay Brock Purdy or kick him to the side like you've done your previous two quarterbacks. So Eldrick says all he's got to do is apologize and admit he messed up. Man, I'm not big on Shanahan. I will give him his credit. I think he's a great offensive coordinator. Some of the plays that he designs, I mean, they're good. You just can't knock that. But the man, you got to start questioning his head coaching ability at this point. So, with that being said, let's dive into Arthur Blank finally speaking to the media. Now, again, like I said, I haven't listened to any of this, so I'm walking into this with new eyes, just like everybody else. Again, we might not get through the whole 36 minutes. We might do half of it now and then half of it tomorrow. So with that being said, I'm gonna try and go through this with minimal combo. All right, so let's get to it.
You feeling better? I am. Thank you for asking, Michael. Yep. Check that box right away. I'm feeling 100% better. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that.
I am too.
So on January 8th, when you guys had your press conference, you had Rich McKay up there, and you basically were saying he was leading the search. And then when you announced Raheem's hiring, you basically said that Rich McKay is kind of being out of day-to-day football operations. And then you had Terry Fontenot up there talking on Monday. What changed within those 3 weeks that I guess necessitated a change within how you structured the organization?
Yeah. Well, there was nothing really, Michael, within those 3 weeks. This has been an ongoing process. I'll take you back a little bit of history. Rich got promoted in January 2023 to be CEO of AMBSE, which is the umbrella organization that is responsible for the Falcons, responsible for Atlanta United, responsible for the stadium itself. Steve Cannon, who is our vice chair, is transitioning. He's retiring, and he's been directly responsible for soccer. So part of this change was made in contemplation of that. Part of the change also was that, Rich has been with us for 30 years, for 20 years, been in the NFL for 30 years. And during that time as general manager, he was president, served a variety of functions. And I think given these last particular situations we had basically new head coaches and really new general managers, particularly this last go around. He served an important role in terms of helping them transition into their roles as a head coach and a general manager in the league. That is no longer not necessary with this group. I mean, Terry's been with us for 3 years, going on 4 years now. Raheem has been in our building for 6 years, been in the NFL for 23 years. So that transition role and that guidance role is really not needed. Rich, however, is still the CEO of the Atlanta Falcons, of the franchise, not the football team, of the franchise. That includes all the business parts of it. So he's still a very trusted colleague, will be very heavily relied on in a variety of areas, just not in day-to-day football operations. I might add also, of 32 teams in the NFL, there's, I think, 4 or 5. Example would be the Packers is one example where the head coach today, as of today, the head coach and general manager do not report directly to the owner. The rest of them, all of them, report directly to the owner or some form of the ownership. So in the case of the Packers, an example, which is a publicly owned franchise, their CEO actually performs the role of the owner there. And there's a few other ones where the owner is either physically not on property, lives in another area, is not there very often, et cetera. So they'll have a CEO that'll serve that function. But hopefully that answers that question, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, go to Tori McElhaney.
Mr. Blank, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Absolutely, Tori.
You talk about us knowing Raheem. I think all of us know Raheem, and
Right.
It was interesting with the introductory press conference that it almost didn't feel like an introductory. But for you, as you were going through the process of the coaching search, how did you see Raheem change since the last time that he interviewed for this position after the 2020 season?
That is a great question. Maybe the best question during the first press conference in this little chat we're having today. I think, Raheem was with us for 6 years. And I would say, during that 6-year period of time, worked on offense, on defense, worked in a variety of areas. The scale of 1 to 10, being a cultural leader, being somebody that defines leadership with coaches, players, people throughout the building, et cetera. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say he's a 20. Today, he's still a 20. I mean, that hasn't changed. What I did see change, and to answer your question very specifically, I think the 3 years he had in L.A., where he worked with a different coaching environment, a different kind of setup, which Sean McVay operates differently than a lot of other coaches do, and their coaching scheme and setup and how they promote from within and just move coaches around in a much more lateral way. Excuse me. It was a learning experience for him. I think the collaboration that Sean McVay and Les Snead have, general manager there who worked for us for many years, was very, very close. And I think they were the true definition of what a collaborative relationship is. And one of the things that Raheem said during his press conference, which I thought was right on, if you really have a great relationship, it's almost you can speak without being spoken, without having to use words. I mean, people understand each other, et cetera. And I think he saw that relationship there. I think he also understood the importance, which I don't think, frankly, back in 2016, and he and I talked about this when he was here with us and left after that, is I think he appreciated now the importance of trying to build a coaching staff, understanding when you're going to have a winning team, you're going to lose coordinators, you're going to lose position coaches. So like in any business, in this case, business of the NFL, how do you anticipate that? And how do you build a coaching staff that, when you go through that and your best coaches are picked off and go elsewhere in the NFL, which is what should happen because they have opportunities, how do you maintain the consistency of play on the field, et cetera? And I think he brought back a plan which showed me that his thinking really had changed in that regard and he had learned a lot in that regard. So I think as you all spend time.
Okay, let me pause it right here. So that's actually the question I wanted answered, because you had him 3 years ago and you let him go. So the question was why. So it seems like what he's saying is back then he didn't have a game plan as to who he wanted to hire or maybe where he wanted the team to go, in a sense. So when he came back, he took the knowledge that he had from the Rams, and when he came back, he knew exactly who he wanted. He had a game plan. So I guess in short, he didn't have a game plan once he was interim coach. Now he has a game plan. But at the same time, you got to, because he said he was 20% on him when he was here. So again, that's neither here nor there. We'll continue.
With Raheem and spend time with his coaches and coordinators and coaches as well and get to know them. I think you really fully appreciate that. The depth of his coaching staff that he's put together, to me, is remarkable. But it's not only remarkable because they're ready to perform now. They're ready to perform. I'm going to assume, I know it's a big word, but I'm going to assume that we're going to be successful. We're going to win a lot of games. And therefore, in the NFL, what happens is that, whether you're Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Andy Reid, the coaches that win consistently, their coordinators leave. They leave because they become head coaches, or their position coaches become coordinators. And these organizations prepare for that. The head coach is the one who has to help prepare for that. I think Raheem's came back from LA with a intense knowledge of how to do that and how to put that in place in Atlanta, which is very important.
Josh Kendall.
By the way, if you ask a question, if I didn't give you a clear answer, I'm trying to, just like, just say, have a second one, whatever it may be. Yeah, Josh.
Mr. Blank, glad you're feeling better. You interviewed twice a guy who's on the verge of being the winningest coach in NFL history, in Bill Belichick. It'd be remiss, I think, if we didn't ask you how that process went, what drove your interest, and what ultimately led you to choose Raheem Morris against a guy whose resume, at least, is better than anybody alive.
Well, I would say, I'd say what drove our interest initially is exactly what you said. I mean, his record, 24 years for the Patriots, been coaching the NFL for, I think, 49 years, is incredible. Whether he's the greatest coach to ever coach the game, if not, he's on a very short list. So, that's really what drove our interest. We spent time with him, 2 face-to-face interviews. One I did myself because we were restricted. We couldn't talk to coaches. I couldn't interview coaches that were under contract till after January 22nd. And the second one we did in the group. So it was, first of all, the interviews were excellent. One was very informative, as it might be, because you're talking to a kind of a living legend, somebody who's got, great historical knowledge, great knowledge of the game, a great perspective from all the years of success he had.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. Hold on, I know that ain't me. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, they had to fix this up. Boy, listen, Atlanta, y'all make billions of dollars. Fix this goddamn audio. Fix it. Y'all suck at audio, whether it's during the press conference. Y'all remember a lot of this season, we couldn't even hear the questions. We couldn't even hear the questions from the damn reporters. Now he's having trouble at the crib. Fix these damn audio problems, bro.
Arthur, you're muted.
Arthur, you're muted.
And use somebody else's laptop instead of your own. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
We blame Bassity anyway. Don't worry.
Okay. Josh, where did you stop hearing me? I'm sorry.
You said he has a wealth of historical knowledge.
Yeah.
That you were
Yeah.
sort of
So
able
I
to
think,
glean.
So I think that, we learned a lot during that process, as you might expect, anybody would. And so it was never really, I would say this to make absolutely clear, there were 14 candidates. It was not any one of the candidates against Bill Belichick. It was all 14 candidates, I wouldn't say against each other, but each were competing with each other. And we selected the one that we thought, for a whole variety of reasons, was the best choice for us. I do want to make it 1,000% clear. I want to go to 2,000% or 100,000, whatever percent you want to use. Bill Belichick never asked for, in our discussions, full control over personnel or the building or anything of that nature. He was very inclusive, very collaborative. He met Terry Fontenot. He checked out our people doing his own references. He sent me a private text, which I eventually shared with Terry, that he was happy working with him. So all these, I don't know whatever you want to call them, I want to be kind to the media, but all of these
thank you
things that were being produced by the media were totally not true. I don't say it to patronize Bill, but to be fair to him. He never had that as a requirement. He's got his history, he has a way of doing things, et cetera, which have been very, very successful. Now, you could debate, is that true the last 4 years or so? It might be a little different picture, but, there's a lot of stories behind a lot of things. So I think it was a very good series of interviews with him. Our folks were impressed with him. I was impressed with him, as were a number of the candidates. And we just felt, all things considered, for a variety of reasons, that Raheem Morris was clearly the best choice for us. It's not a criticism of Bill.
Right. You guys weren't the only job open. I think there were 7 jobs open. He didn't get any of them. Mike Vrabel, guys who at least have the reputation for being more of a one-man show. It felt like, I think Terry even used the word with Raheem's press conference, collaborative mindset. It felt like potentially there's a shift in the league's thinking in terms of how you want to do this job. Fair?
I don't think there's a shift. I think if you look at any of the clubs that I mentioned a minute ago, any other ones that you might think of that are winning teams consistently in the NFL, Kansas City, San Francisco, 2 of the big games this weekend, LA. You run down the risk. running the list, every single one of them, you've got a very collaborative relationship, truly collaborative relationship between the general manager and the head coach. If they don't see the team, the vision for the football team the same way, it is an uphill battle. Every day gets up, you got a headache, you got worse than a headache, it's going to get bad from. I mean, you have to be able to see the team way. That doesn't mean you agree on everything. You don't necessarily agree on everything. You may disagree on players, drafting, free agency, et cetera. You have a healthy dispute. You understand each other. You make a different selection. You move on, whatever it may be. But you have to have that connection. And I don't know of one team in the National Football League that's not successful where you don't have a collaborative, close relationship between general manager, personnel, scouting, and the head coach. I mean, you have to have that. I've said this before. I said it during the first press conference. The word power should never come into play. It really needs to be a collaborative, inclusive decision, and you make the best decision that fits the prescription that you're looking for your franchise. It's very important for head coach, coordinators, position coaches to be as prescriptive as they can. And the analogy I've used of late, because my dad was a pharmacist, is that it's kind of like going to the doctor, and the doctor says, this is the prescription that I need for my patient. So if you think of the doctor as being coach, coordinators, position coaches, they go to the pharmacist and they say, pharmacist, this is the prescription I need to fix my patient. And the pharmacist fixes it, goes out and puts that prescription together. Well, in that case, that's the job of scouting and personnel, is to have a tight prescription to fit it and to understand it. And then if you have debate on it, you have debate on it, but it's done in an inclusive way.
Thank you.
Joe Patrick.
Hey, Mr. Blank, thanks again for taking the time today to answer some of our questions. Terry said that, going through this coaching search process is something that ideally no team wants to do, but when you do it, you're better off for it as an organization. And so just assuming you agree with that sentiment, how do you think that the Falcons as an organization have improved outside of just what Raheem might bring as the head coach?
Well, I think if you do it really, too frequently, stay with the same analogy with certain kinds of medicine. They may be fine to cure something, but after a while they'll kill you. So I think you don't want to go on coaching searches all that often. I think when you do go on them, like in this case, talking to 14 candidates, each one, depending on how much time they have to get ready, does a pretty thorough evaluation of your roster. And a lot of times you're talking about really good coordinators, sometimes retired NFL coaches, sometimes coaches that have been head coaches before, whatever it may be. So they can give you an outside perspective on your team that sometimes you don't hear on the inside. So I think that has real value. But I wouldn't encourage people to do it on a regular basis. I think the longer you can do without it. The last 3 years was a very short run for us. I mean, Dan Quinn was almost 6 years. Mike was close to 8 or 9 years, as I remember. So, I mean, that's, you're shooting for that or longer.
D. Orlando.
Michael, I didn't fully answer your question before while you were waiting for DL, but it was never said. I mean, I don't remember exactly what was said, but the notion there was not going to be one person driving the search process. If you had to say it was one person driving it, ultimately it would be me, but it really wasn't me. It was a process. The process drove the process. There was a group of 5 or 6 key people. There was another 10, 15 people was helping out on the edges, et cetera. But basically, there was a core of 5 or 6 people that were heavily involved in it. So it was a kind of a process kind of thing. It was nobody was chairing it. There was nobody running it per se. The process drove it. And when we ended the day, we looked at all the candidates. It was all these people that were involved in all of the virtual interviews and the in-person interviews. They all gave.
See, this is when somebody just needs to tell Arthur Blank to shut up. Because Terry Fontenot had came out in the press conference and said that he pretty much, when it came to the process, he was the one leading it. And we thought at the time he was taking a jab at Rich McKay. Now here Arthur Blank comes putting his foot down, saying if it was anybody leading the process, it was me, and it was a process of a process. What does that even mean? But when there's no noise, I notice Arthur Blank likes to talk to fill in noise. And that's something he shouldn't have even addressed. It's not important at this point. And to me, it further that comment kind of cripples Terry Fontenot, because Terry Fontenot has clearly come out and said, hey, listen, it was a collaborative effort, but I was the one pretty much leading the campaign as far as it came to the process. And now we're hearing Arthur Blank say anyway, let's go.
Gave their opinion as to what they thought and why they thought, what they did.
I think where the confusion, though, was, just to kind of push back on that, when you guys announced Arthur Smith's firing, it said that you and Rich McKay would be leading the search with input from others. So therefore, I think a lot of people felt that it was you and Rich leading the search. And then obviously later that day, it was the two of you up there and not Terry. So that's where that, I think, came from.
I got you. Well, I mean, Rich was involved in the search. He was one of the individuals who was helping through the process. But I would not say Rich drove it. I wouldn't say Terry drove it. I would say the process we agreed upon as a group is what drove it. And again, a reminder, the only reason Terry was not there at the initial press conference is that we had wars going on several fronts. One is at Flowery Branch, where coaches were walking out the door that day, and they had, professional and personal needs to be attended to, and we were responsible to do that, as well as obviously dealing with the media. So that was nothing more than trying to deal with the logistics of this transition.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Sure.
Orlando.
All right, finally. Hey Arthur. What was the delay in presenting Raheem to the public? It took 11 days. We just brought it up in the PFWA meeting about teams taking so long to introduce their coaches. And I'm just going to ask all three of mine here. Did you all offer Bill Belichick the job? That Boomer Esiason kind of alluded to that out here in Vegas. And then I need a Super Bowl pick from you.
Okay. So you're doing the same thing that a couple of reporters did to Roger during his press conference. They asked one question, they asked three. I got you. So I wouldn't get into that habit, but I'll try to remember them. The last one is the easiest one. I'm not going to tell you because I love both organizations. I love both of the coaches. Obviously, I probably have a special affinity for Kyle because he worked in our building for a long time. We went through Super Bowl 51 together. But I think they're both extraordinarily well-balanced teams, offensively, defensively. And I just hope for the National Football League, for America, for the world, that we have a really good game. The second question was Bill. The middle one was Bill ever offered a job. So that was reported by Boomer Esiason, and he said he heard that from some NFL executive. He was never, capital Never. Never. Bill would tell you this. I would tell you this. My dogs, who were probably with us during the second meeting, would tell you the same thing. I mean, he was never offered the job. So that's, where Boomer heard that from, I have no idea. And, I don't know Boomer really well. I know him to say hello to him, et cetera. I have no idea why he would be reporting on something from somebody who wouldn't have any idea either, whoever that might be. So, unfortunately. And there was a third question.
And why did it take so long to have the Raheem Morris press conference, 11 days from when he accepted the job?
It wasn't a question of too long or too short. It was when it was convenient. Raheem lives in L.A. He's got a big family. He's got a lot of logistics. His first series of businesses was to hire coaches, some of which are coming from L.A. So he and our staff, Ryan, Kyle, Terry, they were working literally day and night on recruiting and putting together the coaching staff. I ended up with a little bump from a medical standpoint, but that really didn't impact anything. Obviously, the press conference very well without me. So there was it was a question of just doing it correctly, not doing it quickly. So, like everything else we try to do, we got to try to make sure we do it correctly, fully, be present, be available, and I think Raheem and the team did a great job.
Go to Allison.
Hi, Mr. Blank. I was wondering during this process, was there a chance or a moment that Raheem really stood out to you the most that kind of set him apart from everyone else? And also, with the talent you have besides the quarterback on this roster, are the expectations in his first year that you make the playoffs?
Yeah. Well, I think, as I said earlier, Allison, and I know he recognized you, I think, from his first 6 years here. So I think, from a cultural standpoint, I mean, I've known Raheem for a long time. I know his energy. I know his leadership. I know the endorsements from, people like McVay and Tomlin and Shanahan and others who think, well, he's long overdue to have another opportunity, et cetera. But I mean, I think in my interview with him, it was very clear to me that the 3 years he spent in LA was very powerful for him professionally. Personally, I'm sure it was good too, but it was very powerful professionally. I think as I said earlier, I think he saw how a different, very successful coaching staff and tree was built and how limbs for that tree could be taken away, but because the base of the tree, the roots of the tree were strong, they were able to replenish those roots and grow back and limbs and grow back and continue to compete at a very high level. I think the fact that he took basically almost a complete rookie defensive squad this year and played very competitively with them throughout the year, I was very impressed with that. I was very impressed with the fact that he had put together in his mind a plan, knowing that we were going to be successful, and how if we lost this person, where would the people be on staff that we could actually promote from within and continue to move forward and not have that drainage of talent, which we had in 2016. I mean, as he and I talked about, and I talk about it actually, in a critical way, is that we had Mike McDaniel, we had Matt LaFleur, we had Kyle Shanahan, all on our staff at the same time, and we didn't retain him. Kyle, we knew was going to go to San Francisco, so I look back on that and I say, it was not probably the best we could have done, and I've learned from that, and I think our organization's learned from that as well. It's very clear to me that he's learned from that too. So I think, the other thing I would say is that while he doesn't have, 50 years of coaching the NFL, he does have 23 years of coaching the NFL. So in a sense, he's kind of developed his own network, his own version of a tree, beginnings of a tree, if you will. He's well liked, he's well respected, he's well loved by coaches, players throughout the league. So, a lot of people enjoy working with him. And the impression I had is that he was going to bring together, now that he had another opportunity as a head coach, a very strong staff because of all these relationships he's built over so many years, whether it be in Tampa, whether it be in Atlanta, or whether it be with LA, or whether it be his early years in Washington. So I think he was drawing upon all of that. So I saw somebody who had a great deal of experience learning in his 3 years, and then bringing all that into bear in this new opportunity for us.
Michael Rossi, maybe a follow-up?
Yeah, I do. It seemed like you guys were going through second interview. You had other second interviews scheduled, and then you hired Raheem almost right before he was about to get on a plane to go to Seattle. It seemed like. Was there concern that maybe he was going to get hired by the Seahawks, and that's why you guys acted as you did, or was there something that happened in maybe that 24-hour stretch that told you that he was the guy?
No, I think when we finished the interview with him, I think the group met, and I think we all felt that way. He did have plans to go to Seattle. Seattle's a great organization. They have a great organization up there. Pete Carroll is still there. John Schneider, one of the best general managers in the league. They have an emerging team. So that certainly would be attractive to a lot of coaches. But from our standpoint, we just felt like, we had come to a point where we made up our minds. This was the right fit for us going forward, made the most sense. We totally believed in his vision. I understood the man, understood the history, understood the presence, understood how he had grown. And that, universally in the group, we're ready to go forward with him. So there's no reason to wait any further.
And just really quick, the quarterback situation you described as deficient on January 8th. In these interviews, what did you need to hear from Raheem or maybe from other candidates when they're talking about the quarterback situation to make that person your hire?
Well, I would say, I don't think there's anybody that we spoke to who would define our quarterback situation as anything other than something that needs work. And I'm being kind. This is not a criticism of the players. I said this during the press conference. Sometimes what makes a quarterback either really good or not so good is not just how he's playing the game, but it's the scheme they're in, the plays that are being called, just a variety of things that go into making good quarterback play. Having said all that, it's very clear to everybody, all of our fans, all of you, anybody throughout the NFL, I would say, is that this is a position that we need to figure out how we're going to get better in 2024 and on beyond that as well, whether it be trades, free agency, draft, whatever it may be. There's lots of opportunities out there for us, and we'll look at them all. But there was nobody who felt there was no disagreement on that point. Anybody who was an observer of the game, a student of the game, would come to the same conclusion.
So let me just let y'all know, for the Ritter fans out there, he's not your starter. That's the one thing they all agreed on. All of them agreed on he's not the guy, and we need to look elsewhere for quarterback. So there's still going to be Ritter belief out here. But the organization is telling you he's not the guy. So quit telling us that he's the guy when the organization is clearly telling you they lost faith on the kid.
Go to Tori for a follow-up.
Yeah, follow up on that really quickly. I know that in his introductory press conference, Raheem and Terry both said that they've had limited discussions about the quarterback position. I was just kind of curious, from your standpoint, at what point are you kind of looking at like, hey guys, like I need to see the plan. What is the plan? I'm sure there are different levels of the plan, but for you in the timing of everything, what are you kind of looking for in that regard?
Well, I think you have to, this is not one of these things where you can take a year to develop a strategy. Free agency is coming up in a matter of weeks. Draft preparation, we're in the middle of it. All those things, how do you put that room back together again? We have new coordinators, new position coaches, new assistant quarterback coaches, et cetera. So, we have to bring together all of this knowledge and all this wisdom in a very short period of time. I would tell you quite honestly, 1,000% there's not a defined plan, but it is being talked about, and it'll be talked about pretty intensely, I would say, over the next coming weeks.
Josh Kendall.
That answer your question, Tori?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
I've got one that is
Again, no talk of Ritter. None. Absolutely not. They haven't even mentioned Ritter's name.
completely out of left field. So if your answer is you haven't given it a moment's thought, we can just skip right on to the next one. But I wonder if the league, to your knowledge, has had any discussions about how to handle artificial intelligence and what it might bring to the game.
I would say there's been a lot of discussion about it. There's a heavy movement, I think, at the club level and the league level, the use of analytics in a whole variety of ways, which obviously embodies AI. How that's going to impact player selections, player evaluations, both soft tissues, hard tissues, medical standpoint, capacity standpoint. I think all those things will be evolving over time. It's still a game where you have to determine, somebody's love for the game, the passion for the game, their heart for it, et cetera. But I definitely think AI, like it's going to impact us, is impacting us across the board in our lives. I definitely think it'll be even more so in the NFL in the future.
Do you think the league could get to a point where it feels like it has to restrict the use of AI? I mean, I'm not smart enough to understand where all this could go, but you know, in theory, you could stick information, some sort of artificially gained information into this system and have it build your game plan, right? Or make a call from the box.
Yeah, I think, I mean, conceivably, I guess you could. I'm not an AI expert either, Josh, but I would say that, great decision making and great coaching, particularly in a game where you have to make decisions as quickly as you do, and a lot of it is based on what you see on the field, how you feel the players are responding, where they are mentally, physically, do they have strength to continue to compete in certain ways, et cetera. All that makes decision making for play callers, very, very subjective at some point. So all the analytics are helpful, and they give guidance, and they can give you some wisdom. But at the end of the day, you still have to make those decisions. It's the same thing when you're selecting a player in the draft process. You can look at all the analytics, and you all can do that today. And I've done it and played with it. Say, well, which is the best, whatever it may be. And they'll take all the years of high school ball, college ball, put it all together, et cetera, give you a profile, but it doesn't really tell you, can they, project to the next level? Can they win at the next level? How much do they love the game? How much grit is in their commitment? I mean, there's a variety of things that you have to weigh, which I think AI is going to have a tough time weighing. But I do think AI will be more of a factor going forward in some form or fashion, as it has already.
Thank you.
All right, got time for one more. Justin Felder.
That was a really interesting topic. I want to hear more about that. Mr. Blank, if you're okay with a quick question about the World Cup. We've had the statement the day of, but now that we've had a week to let it sink in, what does this mean for you personally, for the city of Atlanta to have the number of matches and also to have a World Cup semifinal coming here?
Well, I think it's incredible. I should have added that to another thing would be, part of Rich's response.
All right, I'm gonna skip past this shit because it has nothing to do with football.
For fan experience, and that you that when it comes to Falcons and we always will make ourselves available. I mean, I'll make myself available 24/7, providing I don't have anything else going on medically like I did for a couple of days. But and so will our staff. So
okay, I'm just gonna stop it right here. Listen. If I'm keeping it real, that was boring. Informative, but boring. The key things that we got out of it is they never offered Bill Belichick the job. It looked like there might have been an issue with maybe who Bill Belichick wanted to bring in here. They liked Raheem Morris's game plan and who he wanted to bring in here. And that Desmond Ridder is not their quarterback going into next season. That's what I got from all that shit. That was a long-winded ass interview. And I get it. He's the owner. But if I'm being honest, that interview wasn't really much needed. I'm just gonna be real, fam. I could have did without that. Because really a lot of it didn't matter. Like, you hired your coach, so any questions about Bill Belichick, it's null and void at this point. Like, who cares? And then they're starting to talk about fucking AI and man, get these guys up out of here, man. Get some better questions. So that was a long, Jesus Christ, that was long and boring. It wasn't like the press conference that Raheem Morris had, his introductory. That was very entertaining and interesting. This didn't need to happen. And I get it, man. Some of these owners, they feel like they got to talk. But anyway, now we move on to the juicy stuff. Couple weeks free agency will open up. One thing that he did say is that they don't really have a definitive plan at quarterback. I believe that might have been a little fib right there. I think they do have a plan. He's just not trying to show his cards, which is smart. So we'll see, because again, all the free agent quarterbacks have been linked to the Falcons. So you don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, they mentioned the draft. They mentioned free agency. They didn't mention Desmond Ridder. So at this point, we will no longer be talking about Desmond Ridder over here at all. After this show, he won't even be mentioned, because the Falcons ain't even mentioned him. So why the hell should I? Why should anybody mention Desmond Ridder? That's like, right now, that's the equivalent of mentioning Frank Darby or Van Jefferson. Don't nobody talk about them. Hell, we barely talking about Cordell Patterson at this point. So I will not be talking about Desmond Ridder. For the Ridder fans, y'all have at it. Y'all will be working yourselves up. I'll be interested in the starter that we bring in here, whether that be via free agency, whether that be per the draft. But they ain't even, and they've been asked questions about the quarterback position. They ain't mentioned this boy one time. Matter of fact, they've been doing everything to let you know they moving on somewhere else. And they've already had conversations, and Arthur Blank pretty much said, we're all, if there's one thing we are all in agreement on, it's that. So don't let other guys lead you astray. Because some of these folks earlier in the year trying to compare him to Mahomes, trying to compare him to Lamar Jackson. Neither one of those guys got benched. Numbers comparable to Tom Brady. They starting to sound like Dan Orlovsky, where it's just the delusion is just like, bruh, you are stretching. Well, I do this because the quarterback, he always gets the blame. It's not always the quarterback. It don't matter how trash the quarterback is. Sometimes people are just right on the quarterback. Sometimes they're just not good. And you have to accept that and move on. And I think that's what Atlanta's doing, turning a new leaf. So I think the next video we dig in, we'll start looking at free agency, and see what's what. Before I get out of here, though, we're we're gonna do something non-Falcon related, still football related, and still funny. Hold on, let me let me pull this up, because I saw this this morning and couldn't stop laughing. I could, man, people are very, very sensitive in this day and age. Now, let me just put this up. Let me put this up, because I do have opinions on this. Now, let me start off by saying Ocho is petty. Petty. Ocho is very petty. I'm gonna play this and I'm gonna give commentary. Hey, listen, don't come after me, Shannon, because I played this. I'm a very, very small channel. This probably won't even come across the radar. Fair use. Let me go ahead and throw that out there. Fair use. I've never seen Shannon this mad about something. But your boy was talking about pulling up, and now let me say this. I believe Shannon 100% when he talks about pulling up on somebody. We saw him almost willing to fight a whole Memphis Grizzlies starting lineup in a blouse sweater. Fam, you don't play with folks that are comfortable wearing stuff like that. You don't. Anybody bold enough to wear what Shannon wore that night, I'm not trying them. I'm not trying them, fam. Because you got to be real brave to be putting on stuff like that. But I digress.
Go ahead and click that subscribe button below so you don't miss a single episode of Nightcap. That button right here.
After this, we're going to get up out of here.
Stay for the story. But like I said, the DraftKings party was great. Like I said, Nas came out. I know Nas. I went to an event a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Spoke to him. Got his number. We talked to him. I just did a story. I was in Queens Bridge. And his brother, one of his homies, might have been his brother, came up there and showed us around and so forth and so on. So it was great. But I had an experience, and I don't want to get too far into it, Ocho, because I don't want to.
You could tell us. You could tell us.
I don't like clout chasing.
Okay, it's not really clout chasing. If something happened, you had a situation. The point of us having Nightcap is for you to discuss things that happen in your day-to-day life. Therefore, if you don't want to give us the meat and potatoes of the situation, you could at least give us the clip notes.
What happened? I'm sitting on a couch, and it was me, a couple of my friends that I work with, colleagues, and one of their friends and her boyfriend. So I'm sitting on the couch, and Ocho, if I'm looking like this here, I can see somebody out of my peripheral walking up towards me. And they walk up, and they hey, I'm such and such. I say, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm saying I know who you are, but thanks for the introduction. And I don't want to get too far into it, but anyway, it was the person told a lie, because the thing was that why would someone ask you about me, and the first time you and I ever had a conversation is as we're talking right now. So I'm like, and I was just saying, I said, well, why would somebody ask you about me? And you don't know me. You and I have never had a conversation. You don't know anybody that know me, and I don't know anybody that know you. So why would they?
Two different circles.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said, so why would somebody ask that question? In other words, damn.
Go ahead.
Made it up.
Right.
It was a lot. It was a lot to start with.
Right.
Made it up. And then, as she leaving, she starts recording me.
Oh, no, she didn't. Was she work for TMZ? Oh, she was trying to get a reaction out of us. Notice I said us.
It's just disappointing. That's really all I can say.
Right.
I did have a situation at the I was at Match. It was not a situation. But I said, I bumped into an old classmate of mine.
Okay.
I'm a fast
and I hadn't
forward
seen it like 30
past a lot of this stuff, because hopefully this is
right.
So moving forward.
Hold on, is this the same?
Me too. I'm like, really, bro? That's what y'all took it there.
Listen,
that's what y'all tried.
You know what's funny?
Really?
And Jess sent a message saying, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the love.
Hold on.
But here's the thing, Ocho. Not only was it beneficial for Club Shay Shay, a lot of other people ate off of that interview because they.
Okay, so let me.
Oh man, Shannon Sharp creepy. Shannon Sharp, blah blah blah. Me too. I'm like, really, bro? That's what y'all took it there.
Listen,
that's what y'all tried.
You know what's funny?
Really?
And Jess sent a message saying, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the love. Y'all
I'm done with
funny
it.
as
So
hell.
moving forward, I will tell stories, but I promise you, I will never have. I will not on this platform, publicly or privately, make anything, because that's the last thing I want. Because what I've noticed, Ocho, as you and my profile, and because I got Club Shay Shay,
Right,
and I've
right.
almost got 3 million subs,
Right.
and ever since that Cat Williams, a
Yeah.
lot of mofos been treating your boy different.
What?
Now let me say this. He is right. Before the whole Cat Williams interview, nobody was really coming after him, right? And his views were decent. He had interviews that had 8 million views, 7 million, 1 million, and nobody was batting an eye because a lot of his colleagues were clocking the same numbers. But once that Cat Williams interview went nuclear, people started talking about him, like Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson was over there on the Up in Smoke podcast talking about, we wouldn't allow guests to come on our show and do what Cat Williams did. Yet when you look at Ricky Smiley went on Club Shay Shay, he did what he did. Cedric went on there, did what he did. Steve Harvey did what he did. They didn't bat an eye at that. But when Cat Williams it wasn't the content, it was the fact that thing went nuclear, fam. It's at 57 or 58 million views. It's the highest viewed interview in YouTube. So now people are trying to take shots at him. And he's only asking the questions. It's the guests that are saying what they're saying. But now people want to take shots. That's how you know when you're on top. When you're on top, people will take unnecessary shots at you. So it's not like they're taking legitimate shots. They're taking pot shots at him because he had somebody on the show. So I get it. I get his anger right there.
Who? And but here's the thing, Ocho. Not only was it beneficial for Club Shay Shay, a lot of other people ate off of that interview because they used it.
Mm-hmm.
And we can look at it. We can look at let's just say you got a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And you talk about it. We can see what percentage of your show you actually talked about the Cat Williams interview.
Right.
Whether you talked about it 100%, 80%, 60%, 40%. A lot of mofos ate off of that video. But they try to be sneaky and try to, sneak tip. So, come on, man. Really? So now, oh, man, creepy. He talk about these young girls. I say, man, y'all always trying to make something. It's done got to the point, and I had stopped for a long, I got on here and I kind of let my guard down. But I had stopped complimenting. Unless I know, it happened to me at I complimented Jenny on air one day, and it's like, we would really appreciate it if you didn't do that. So I was like, okay, cool, no problem.
Come on, man. It's all harmless, man. Ain't no intent,
I'm done with
man.
it. I'm done with it. I'm done. I'm like I said, I'll share stories through from a personal point of view, something that has happened in my life.
Right.
But as far as this, because you try to be disrespectful, you dissing Nikki or this or that. I say, man, it ain't even worth it. It's not even worth it.
But you don't want the people to steal your joy, and you don't want the people.
They're not stealing my joy.
I know they're not stealing your joy, but that what makes us special is the being able to joke and have fun and be lighthearted, and we can't be worried about what people saying when there's no intent, no malice behind what we doing.
Man, hey, Ocho, when they brought that old Cat Williams check, man, they brought that thing on the 18-wheel. It was so heavy. They can't steal my joy.
Shit,
They black that big on 18-wheel.
Now he got paid for. I think they said the estimated amount of money Shannon made off that one interview was like $2.7 million, which is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. That's how nuclear that damn interview went. When you can make millions of dollars and all you did was sit on the couch and let this guy completely go off, man, please sign me up for that any day.
Yeah. It was in reverse, huh?
Yeah, man. Man, that check was so heavy.
Yeah.
Man.
Hey, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, throw something on the floor for me, baby. I'm gonna pick it up now.
You gonna pick it up?
Yeah, just throw it on the floor. I'm gonna pick it up. I ain't gonna look. You just go ahead and drop it. I'm gonna pick it down. I'm gonna keep my head straight. I'm gonna reach down there and grab it though.
And I'm gonna put this out there. And this one, I'm gonna fire this shot over your head, mofo, and you will know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Mention my name again.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put the DMs. And I don't like doing this.
Yeah.
But you're lying. See, and I don't care about all that other stuff. You can say I'm gay, and you can say I don't care about that because I won't chase a lie, but I won't let you lie on my name.
Yeah.
Now you can say all that other stuff. I can deal with that. I don't look. I heard that 1,000 times.
Yes,
just
sir.
like everybody jumping in the chat talking about, oh, he don't like number white women.
Right.
I done dated a lot of different races.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you like Skittles now. You eat every color. Come on, talk to me now.
No, I don't eat. I don't eat. Now I don't eat or suck. But like I said,
my bad. Let me get let me get back over here real quick.
Hey, listen, you like Skittles now. You eat every color. Come on, talk to me now.
No, I don't eat. I don't eat. Now I don't eat or suck.
Yeah. Now listen. So I'm not gonna mention that as a guy. I'm not gonna say I don't eat or suck in the same sentence. If you don't eat, you leave it right there, my G. You leave it right there. I'm like, bruh, no. When he said eat or suck, I'm like, ooh. I kind of looked and I had like the side eye. I'm like, yeah, Shannon, you should have left that last little bit off. But let's go.
Oh, do all that.
You know what I mean? That's why I said Skittles. Skittles. Okay. Stay. I'm with you.
You know, I look at Ocho.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you this, and I want you, and I want somebody to send it to you. And I've been seeing it in the chat.
Yeah.
Y'all know who I'm talking about.
I don't know who you talking about, but I'm with you. I'm a nigga.
Say my name again, and I'm gonna release the DMs because you're lying.
Yeah.
You said I reached out to you to come on Club Shay Shay, and you a mofo lie. Now when I see you, I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna see if you about that.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if you want to say what you've been saying on trying to get some jokes because you got mad because Cat Williams did what he did.
Now listen, when a country bumpkin tells you when they see you, when they pull up and they see you, you better take that at face value. The one thing about down south Georgia folk, when we don't do a lot of talking, you get one warning. You get one, and the next time it's on site. I've noticed like a lot of up north cats, they like to talk you to death. Down south, you get one warning. When I see you, you're gonna have to keep that same energy. Now, I think Shannon is. We're gonna play the rest. I'll save this for until it ends.
Now, when I see you, I'm gonna see if you really about that.
Yeah, and when I see you,
no.
I'm
gonna see if him talking all that.
Yeah.
When them tight ass leather pants trying to be funny.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna see if you're about that.
Yeah.
Say my name again. Now
man,
be like Destiny's Child and talk about say my name, and I got something for your ass.
Okay, I'm lost, but I'm with you. And whoever you talking about it, we go. What? Yeah. I'm with you.
Like I said, first of all, them saying I'm gay and this and that, it ain't affecting my bottom line.
I'm gay. I've been happy for years.
It ain't affecting my bottom line. Now, if it'll start to affect my bottom line, then I'm gonna make you put your cards on the table.
Yeah. It ain't gonna be no flush either. I'm
gonna make you put your cards on the table. But that don't bother me. It's that you lied and you didn't have to. Say your little joke, get your little laugh off, have fun, but just don't lie and said I said something when I didn't. And you know who you are, mofo. Yeah. I'm calling you a mofo. Now, when I see you, boy, I promise you, I'm gonna pull up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up and I'm gonna see if you about that. Because I'm about it with you.
Me too. As soon as I get our probation.
Y'all know I don't, like I said, I stay to myself, Ocho. Anybody tell you I said it. I say when people say, man, that's not like Shannon, that's exactly who Shannon was.
Mm-hmm.
I let my guard down.
Right.
I'm gonna see you.
Yeah. I don't know what we talk about. I'm gonna see you too. Let me take my glasses
I'm
off.
gonna see you.
We both gonna see you. Yeah, mofo. Fuck.
Now, if you really want me, send for me. I'll
Ooh.
come.
Yeah.
Now,
Huh?
when I'm coming out, look here. I got special handling. I come
Yeah.
with shipping and handling because
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure you get it.
Yeah. Make sure you put your address, nigga. Yeah, we'll be there.
No, just hey. And don't come, hey man, no, because I'm gonna tell you what somebody told me one time. What is joke to you is death to somebody else. Don't lie on my name. Say what you want to say about me. I'll wear all that. But don't lie on me.
Yeah. Whatever. You know what it is. Up and stuck.
Mm-hmm.
We know what we do. You know how we get down over here, boy. Fuck wrong with y'all, boy, motherfucker. Shit.
No. So we're gonna see what we do.
I don't even know who we talking about, but I'm feeling good. I'm ready to square up. Boy, we go 2-on-2 with them boys. Huh? Shit, boy.
Huh?
Hit a nigga with that right cross.
Hey,
Stop
how many?
playing with us.
Hey, look, we got like 75,000. I know all of y'all that haven't subscribed yet. Y'all need to go
All right.
and do that for your boy.
So I think Shannon's finished. So if you're completely lost with this, situation, there's a comedian by the name of Mike Epps, right? And Mike Epps had a show where he kind of made jokes about Shannon Sharpe, right? What Shannon is mad at is hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. This somebody's gonna have to intervene because Mike Epps responded back talking about, if you pull up, we ain't gonna be doing no fighting. That's when it kind of gets too far. Because I do know things like this kind of get out of hand if it's not checked. Hold on. I cannot find it for whatever reason. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's people that have the video, but they're facing, they're fucking talking all over it. Okay, I found it real quick. So we're in extra time, so y'all bear with me. I've already talked about what I need to talk about with the video, so this is extra. So I'll touch on this real quick, and then we up out of here, fam. Let me share my screen. Let me pause my music real quick. So this is essentially what Shannon Sharpe is upset about. So here we go.
Called me trying to do an interview. I said, no, Medea, I ain't doing no interview. So you can sit across from me and look at my balls. I'll sit down, nigga. Thought he was going to attack Cat, that nigga there. The nigga shit is called Shay Shay. The nigga's telling you. Put a wig on that nigga and tell me if that ain't motherfucking Medea's sister, nigga. They exposing every motherfucking body. They got TD Jakes fucked up. Now that's fucked up.
Okay, so
All that
that's essentially what he said about Shannon Sharpe, and Shannon Sharpe flew off the deep end. So apparently what Shannon Sharpe is mad about, what's going on, Uncle Steve? What's going on, Steve? Steve said Shannon already apologized this afternoon and said they will talk man to man. Oh, that's good news. Because personally, I think Shannon Sharpe kind of got mad for nothing. One, and it's ironic because you've interviewed comedians. So I knew I didn't take this personal. I thought it was funny. I didn't take what Mike Epps said seriously. You know, comedians make jokes like this. You know, so he said he didn't have a problem with people calling him gay and all that other stuff. He had a problem with the fact that he said that Shannon Sharpe reached out to him to do an interview. That's his whole purpose of being mad. And I'm like, dude, you over exaggerate. Like, it's not really that serious. Do the Birdie Gang podcast says Mike Epps did lie though. He came on the Shade Room and admitted that he did reach out to Shannon, not the other way around. Yeah, I mean, but the joke, it's a joke. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's a joke. Because he then followed it up by saying, basically, I don't want to sit on the couch and, you know, have him looking at my balls. You know, so again, I wouldn't have taken it as serious as Shannon took it. You know, furthermore, you can't let them see you sweat. You can't let them see you irritated like that. And I think that's what Shannon showed. He showed that irritated him, which in hindsight, you got to take the other stuff that was said, and that probably irritated him too. Even though he said it didn't. Like, why would you fly off the deep end if he said it? Comedians do this all the time. They'll say so-and-so, Diddy reached out to me. Diddy want Cat Williams said that. Is it true? We don't know. But it's part of the joke, though. So Shannon is in the stratosphere where comedians are going to make jokes about the whole Cat Williams situation. And for this situation, I just think he was a little thin-skinned when it came to this. If he would have just shrugged it off, nobody would have gave a damn about this Mike Epps joke. Nobody would have. But now you done gave Mike Epps a little shine. You know, the one thing that will kill your hater the most is if you don't acknowledge them to begin with. That will kill a hater on the inside. So to me, that's what he should have did. So it's good that he apologized for it, because, you know, Shannon, what I'm noticing about Shannon, boy, Shannon got a short fuse. We saw what happened at that Memphis. Shannon was talking about he blacked out. That man was willing to take on a whole damn team in a sweater blouse. That man said he blacked out. They had him in the tunnel, and security was talking to him, and he was wondering why they was talking to him the way that they were. He's like, I'm perfectly calm. That man blacked out, bro. You do not mess with guys like that. Everybody ain't a tough guy. Now, I will bark. Don't get me wrong. But one thing I ain't gonna do, if I know a joker got bodies on him, for real, hey man, I ain't looking for no problems. You'll be sitting there talking to a killer. He be calm as hell. Yeah, man, I got about 15 bodies on me. I'm looking for the nearest exit. I don't even want to be around that demon energy. Because I know if things pop off, this man's got experience in killing. Even with me, there's limits. And I'm a dog. I'm a quiet one. But I ain't trying to fight no dinosaur. Shannon one of them guys that ain't got no limit. So I think, you know, he's got to learn, bruh. I thought he could really take a joke after the Saturday Night Live thing. But I'm glad that he came to his senses and they gonna talk it out. Because as a black man, you hate to kind of see this play out the way that it does. So it's a good thing that they're going to come together and, you know, talk private. And Mike Epps probably didn't mean no harm by this damn joke, man. But some people take that type of stuff serious. And I think, you know, when it gets to that place, you know, and listen, man, here, I'm going to give some Terrence Mathis some talk real quick before I get up out of here. Sometimes you got to know when to walk away. Too many men lose their lives because they don't know how to walk away. Their pride gets in the way. Barking is cool, but live to fight another day. Talking about pulling up. This Shannon, 56 years old. You talking about pulling up? Really? Fam, you're a couple years from getting your AARP. At some age, you're too old to be pulling up on anybody. 56 is that age. You get to a certain age, you playing defense. You ain't playing offense, you playing defense. You know, so we gotta learn how to just ignore the noise and walk away. Raymond says he's just talking. Fam, I wish I could believe that. But we all saw this man literally willing to go toe-to-toe with a damn team. And he blacked out. So, yeah, I believe Shannon Sharp is on that type of time. He's a country bumpkin. Fam, I'm from the South. You just ain't gonna talk to me any type of way. Like Southern men have a different knob on them. We got a different knob on us, fam. So when I know a guy from the South, when I hear him say, "You got one more time," that's when you start getting up and you start moving away from the situation, because it's about to pop off. I done seen that way too many times in my life. I done seen cats get the thumping over a Spades game. So I know what type of time some of these folks is on. But
and I ain't gonna
fam,
run with Mark Jackson.
a guy like this,
we'll check in with Malik in just a moment. Never a dull moment in the NBA, because after the buzzer sounded, there was a little bit of an incident here courtside at the Crypto.com arena. Dylan Brooks was having words with Shannon Sharp, Hall of Famer and broadcast.
Bruh, stop! Look at what this guy. Fam, I'm telling you, a guy wearing this, telling you to cross the gun line. Shannon ain't no bigger than any of these guys on the court, fam. I'm a dude wearing that and can bench press a F-150? Nah. I know he's serious. And look, he's by
Steven
himself.
Adams comes over to protect his guy along with the supporting cast, and then Shannon Sharp still talking, and T. Morant, John Morant's dad, comes over.
And look, at anybody can get that work. He's arguing with the team. Then John Morant's father come over there. He said, "You can get some of this too." Right? Yeah. I believe Shannon to pull up.
He said, my blood pressure didn't go up a bit. Nothing but love and respect for Shannon Sharp. It's a bunch of guys talking a bunch of trash. just silly. I mean,
and these young guys, fam. Hold on for a second. These young guys. T.I. swinging on Floyd to tell us that, yeah, we built different down here, bro. And you know what's crazy about down south folk? We can fight each other and then go to a barbecue that very next weekend and not have any ill. It's weird. We're very, very weird, fam. Up top, it ain't no such thing as losing a fight. Cats is grabbing straps and getting to it. Raymond says, I'm from the same woods, fam. One day, yeah, we'll rap. We built different down here, man. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing. It's just how we're wired. We're not wired to really do a lot of talking. And if we do a lot of talking, let's say over the internet, man, when I see you, it's on. Like Kirby from Dead Presidents, man, fuck a talk. And it might take a minute for you to calm down and process it. Hey, bro, I was wilding out. I was wilding out, man. And Shannon probably realized in that moment he was affecting his own bottom line. That wasn't on Mike Epps. So yeah, you know what? We'll talk man to man. And I'm pretty sure, Mike Epps, again, I don't think Mike Epps meant no harm about that. None. Most of these comedians don't mean any harm when they're telling jokes. I look at it as the fact that if a comedian tells a joke about you, that you should wear that as a badge of honor. That means you somebody. They ain't cracking jokes at nobody with nobodies. So shout out, man, for them brothers coming together, man. I just Shannon overreacted, and this is coming from a fellow Georgian. I know how it feels. I know how it feels when you feel like you've been slighted. I get it. I get it. But it's not pulling up. You're making millions of dollars, fam. Pulling up is not an option at this point. Why would you risk that? That's for somebody with nothing to lose. I'm making millions of dollars. I ain't pulling up on nothing but a check. Now I'll pull up on a check violently. But I ain't pulling up on nobody. But I'll pull up on a check post haste, my G. But with that being said and done, man, I'm up out of here. We've been stretching 2:15. We had some extra bonus time to talk about the whole Shannon Sharp situation, but it's good to see that they got that situated. But Kyle Shanahan, until you do right by us, you ain't never gonna win. And I'll always be smoking on the Shanahan pack. I'm out, man. Y'all have yourselves a great night. Peace.